And did you mention YouTube, AOC Community Media? That's right. Yeah, I have a really interesting story this morning to talk about. So whenever you're ready. Yeah, I sure do, and I'll get to it in a little bit. But of course, coronavirus, well, as has been for the last 5 months, leads off our stories for this morning. But thank you, Mandy. Thank you so much for helming the technical part of what we do here at AOC for our daily newspaper reading Monday through Friday. We do this every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to around 10 a.m. So we really appreciate you tuning in. So today is Monday, August 17th. Good morning, Acadiana. The first story, of course, is coronavirus related. Official school reopenings led by virus and data. Summer peak on decline, but cases remain high by Katie Gagliano. Coronavirus cases numbers in Acadiana have declined from their summer peak, but remain high as schools eye reopening. And regional health officials are asking the public to diligently adhere to safety measures to support the declines needed to safely return students to in-person classes. On August 4th, the Lafayette Parish School System announced it was scrapping plans to open schools on August 17th and pushing the start date back to September 8th. Jennifer Gardner, Chief Administrative Officer for the school system, said the district was committed to being a good steward in the community. We want to do our part to slow down the spread, and this is our way to do it. We're hoping this is going to help our numbers stabilize even more in our area, she said. Before announcing the decision, school officials spoke with the Louisiana Office of Public Health Region 4 Medical Director, Dr. Tina Stefanski, and representatives from the two major hospital systems, Lafayette General Medical Center and Our Lady of Lourdes Regional Medical Center, for perspective on the local healthcare picture. Stefanski said in an August 7th interview, the health department reviewed numbers, including hospital bed capacity, percent positivity of cases over time, new cases by day, and the rate of increases of new cases before deciding to delay the opening of schools. Public health director said while the decision to reopen was squarely left in the school system, she and healthcare officials were united in the belief that delaying school was the best call. Community spread of the virus in Lafayette and Region 4 was occurring at much too high a level for us to bring thousands of kids together, she said. Acadiana is still moving out of a summer wave of COVID-19 cases that began in June. The wave peaked in mid-July when a record high 599 new virus cases were reported in Region 4 on July 13th. 190 of those cases were in Lafayette Parish, according to Louisiana Department of Health data. Between July 4th and August 3rd, the 7 parishes included in Region 4, which included Acadia, Evangeline, Iberia, Lafayette, St. Landry, St. Martin, and Familia. There's no Liberia, it's Iberia. Recorded more than new cases than any of the state's other administrative health regions. Stefanski says she does not have benchmarks for Region 4 and Lafayette must meet before schools can reopen. There isn't a magic bullet at a certain positive rate or hospital capacity level. That signals when the time is right. All the metrics must be considered together as a big regional picture, she said. Patricia Thompson, spokesperson for Lafayette General Medical Center, echoed Stefanski's comments and said Lafayette General was not setting internal benchmarks for hospital bed capacity or other measures that guide the school system's decision to reopen. In a July 24th news briefing, Centers for Disease Control and Prevention Director Dr. Robert Redfield discussed new CDC guidelines for the reopening of schools and mentioned schools located in hotspot areas with higher than a 5% positivity rate, particularly those where the rate is above 10%, may need to exercise more caution, according to a CDC transcript. Recent positivity in Lafayette was 11.4% from July 30th to August 5th, according to the Louisiana Department of Health's COVID-19 data dashboard. I don't know that we're going to get to that level, 5% before schools open, Stefanski said. Regional health director said while there are not firm benchmarks for reopening schools, health officials are looking for consistent downward trends. I think we certainly want to see at least a couple of schools of sustained decline, Stefanski said. At a July 22nd Lafayette Parish School Board meeting, Stefanski commented that she didn't know of anywhere that has opened schools with a comparable level of community spread. She said she made the comment to let the board know there's not a roadmap for safely reopening with high community spread. While there is a plan, the key question is when to use it, she said, which is a difficult problem. The best available knowledge suggests school viruses activity will mirror the community's activity. What happens in the schools is going to be a reflection of what's happening in the community. So no matter how hard the schools work to keep those children safe and avoid transmission on campus, what is bound to happen is that outside of the school, there's going to be increased transmission, and then you're going to see if that's reflected and see potential spread on the campus, Stefanski said. Data shows children are often asymptomatic carriers or statistically have less severe experiences with the virus. The concern is that they'll expose school staff, family members, and close contacts in the community who are at higher risk, triggering a domino effect which increased hospitalizations and increased deaths, she said. A secondary concern is that opening schools while community spread remains high makes it more probable classrooms and schools will have to be closed after COVID-19 outbreaks, which is disruptive to student learning and makes planning for families difficult. Case counts in the region have declined since their peak on July 13th, but more data is needed to confirm if case numbers will continue to decline from August 7th to August 14th. There were 1,339 new cases reported, a 20% decline week over week. But Stefanski said more data is needed. Regional hospitalization numbers are down to 186 as of Friday from a peak of 304 COVID-19 related hospitalizations on July 22nd, according to the State Health Department coronavirus data dashboard. At Our Lady of Lawrence, we're finally seeing a decrease in COVID-19 hospitalizations that can help us prepare for the wave of classes we anticipate to follow school openings in the next 30 to 45 days, spokesperson Elizabeth Arnold said in the statement Friday. Lafayette private schools began reopening last week with Ascension Episcopal School, Our Lady of Fatima Catholic Church, Saints LUS Catholic Church, Saints Peter and Paul Catholic Church, Westminster Christian Academy, Karen Crow Catholic School, John Paul the Great Academy, St. Cecilia Catholic School, and St. Genevieve Catholic School, among those welcoming students back. At least 3 more private schools are slated to open their doors between August 17th and the 21st. Stefanski said it's widely accepted that being in school is important for students, and there are clear social and emotional benefits to being in class in person. It's a very different situation for families, but the return needs to be measured and safe, she said. Elsewhere in the state, a handful of New Orleans area campuses began in-person classes recently, only to encounter disruptions this week after students or staff tested positive for the disease. In Livingston Parish, more than 150 school district employees and students were quarantined 3 days into the 2020-21 school year. If the community is serious about enabling schools to physically reopen, people must remain firmly committed to preventive safety measures. Wear a mask in public, avoid crowds, stand 6 feet apart from people not in your household when in public, and wash your hands frequently, Stefanski said. Now is also the time to gather children for sleep. Now is also not the time to gather children for sleepovers and parties to pass the time, she said. This extension to a child's summer should be a wake-up call to all of us that, look, in order for us to start school safely, we need to be in a better position. And the only way we're going to get there is to take these preventive practices seriously, Stefanski said. Okay, moving on. Business relief program off to a slow start. 8 of 944 applicants awarded grants so far by Christian Mader, who also writes an online publication called The Current. You can reach Christian, that's CHRISTIAAN, at thecurrentla.com. Bill doesn't plan to quickly inject cash to local businesses in need. The Lafayette Business Recovery Plan approved its first grant awards last week. The program is off to a slow start as a collaboration between Lafayette Economic Development Authority and Lafayette Consolidated Government, or LCG, wrangles with how to manage the onerous regulations that tether most of the $1 million grant pool sourced from federal housing money. The glacial pace means the program could fall well short of its ambitions, while housing needs, another use of the funding, continue to worsen. 8 applicants have been approved so far for grants pulled from 2 different funding sources. That's out of 944 applications received to date, according to numbers provided by LEDA. Many applicants dropped off when faced with large reporting and documentation requirements that come along with grant awards from the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development. Trouble with thorny regulations and pays correspond with easy critiques voiced by housing advocates who oppose using the HUD dollars for grants to local businesses hurt by coronavirus. Awardees have not yet been notified, so LCG and LEDA would not identify them. 4 applications totaling $26,000 have been approved for HUD funding so far. The total pool from HUD is $852,000 in block grant funds aimed directly at the pandemic. LCG's Community Development Department, understaffed and inexperienced with directly overseeing HUD business grants, has struggled to move applicants through. Staff President Director Hollis Conway told The Current most applications are incomplete. A key problem is the HUD funds are reimbursements, not upfront awards, and they must cover historical expenses. That means many who answered the open call have asked for help on expenses HUD won't cover, including the artists and low-income business owners of programs were touted to help. LCG contracted the HUD grant in July after some delays. Programs in other cities have been delayed, waiting for HUD approval. Applications opened June 22nd, behind the original start date of June 1st, but the money wasn't technically available until the contract award was signed in July. The approval committee, which includes several prominent business and community leaders and council members, met Tuesday to approve the 8 applications, which now await sign-off from LCG's lawyers. 4 of the applicants will receive money from LEDA. The total $1 million pool set up for the Lafayette Business Recovery Program includes $200,000 put up by the Parish Economic Development Agency. Those funds are not governed by the same restrictions that came along with the bulk of the award funds from HUD, and LEDA CEO Greg Gothrow says his organization will move ahead of LCG's meticulous pace to get more funds out the door. We will distribute all of LEDA's funds for the Business Recovery Program in the next couple of weeks to businesses that are desperately in need of a lifeline, Gothrow said. Then help LCG contribute its share with any info they need to work toward a successful distribution of their funds. LCG hopes to put a few more applicants before the approval committee in coming weeks. Around 100 made it through the first few steps, getting close enough for a real consideration. 23 were rejected outright, leaving 70 in the active pool, according to data provided by LCG. But even the eligibility of the handful most likely to be in front of that approval committee projected to be 8 or 9 at this point, is unclear. One of those applicants is a woman who received an SBA disaster loan and still hasn't exhausted it, meaning accepting money from the HUD portion of the Business Recovery Program could be a duplication of benefits and require her to pay HUD money back, Community Development Planner Belle LeBlanc said. LCG is ultimately on the hook for funds spent out of HUD's designated scope. Some small enterprises simply don't have that kind of operational expenses the program is designed to cover. They don't have operational expenses. There's nothing for us to assist them with, LeBlanc said. Staff members hesitate to say they won't be able to spend all the money. They describe a fluid situation with most applicants working over the phone or by email and combing through remains of required documents like bank statements, lease agreements, and receipts for covered expenses. Applicants are given a soft 5-day deadline to turn around the completed applications, and the staff tries to work with them, often finding some likely to qualify ultimately don't. One applicant, Conway said, was hospitalized with coronavirus and went silent. We don't want to predetermine that we won't be able to spend the money and miss people. My very limited staff is having to go above and beyond to make that happen, Conway said. We're going 110%. The application portal is still open. Applicants are also directed to the state's Business Recovery Program, authorized with $275 million in funds awarded to Louisiana and the CARES Act. The state program overlaps with the local scope, but has fewer hoops for small businesses to jump through. Housing advocates criticize this very problem and how LCG planned to use the HUD funds. They argued in May that HUD regulations would severely limit the number of businesses that ultimately can be helped by the full $850,000 grant and lobbied for LCG to put the money toward rent and utility assistance. To expedite funding, HUD waived many of the typical requirements for housing programs, clearing an easier path for that use. Departments submitted to HUD to approve the program estimated between 250 and 350 businesses would be helped. The Lafayette Parish Mayor President and program supporters made the case that the program could help hundreds of businesses and in turn hundreds more workers. Of the 4 businesses approved for HUD funding, 1.65 jobs, a HUD calculation based on full-time equivalent salary of $35,000, have been trained. Funding for emergency shelters appears to be running out. Louisiana Housing Corp has asked housing agencies not to take on any more households in temporary shelter housing. In Acadiana, 341 households, including some with older children, have been put up in a network of hotels. Acadiana has the largest population of families in emergency housing in the state. Louisiana is still sorting out the details of accepting extended and expanded unemployment benefits from the federal government, but following a murky executive order from President Donald Trump, temporary federal bans on evictions expired at the end of July. Trump has directed federal authorities to pursue extending the evictions without congressional authorization, but in practice, evictions have resumed. There is regulatory urgency to move the HUD funds. HUD holds back funding allocations to ensure its program's recipients are spending the money received. Community development staff say HUD is unlikely to take the money away, but the funds do need to be moved before the end of the year. Community development is looking at other options, making note of the dire housing need. Conway offered that one option is to redirect the funds to that purpose, in which case the money would be awarded in a chunk to an agency partner like Catholic Charities of Acadiana, which received $200,000 in assistance funds last month. He did not specify other options and could not commit to using unspent funds on housing. Those are conversations I would have with my boss, Conway said, noting the need to move the money quickly, both for the sake of emergency and to meet HUD requirements. We'd want to be part of the solution, and I think there's a way we can do that. The administration did not respond to requests for comment for press time. And now let's look at our first public service announcement for the morning. Annual Tour de Life Blood Drive, joined by talent for the annual Tour de Life Blood Drive event. We are touring Acadiana August 17th through the 22nd, giving everyone the chance to transform lives. The coronavirus pandemic has brought to light the vital importance of ongoing blood donations. All blood types are important and are needed for patient care in our area hospitals we serve. Donate August 17th through 22nd at the Vitalant Donation Center located at 1503 Bertrand Drive in Lafayette, or one of the many locations throughout Acadiana, which can be found at Vitalant, that's vitalant.org/tour-de-life. All donors receive a t-shirt while supplies last. All successful blood donors would be tested for antibodies to SARS-CoV-2, the coronavirus that causes COVID-19. More information, please visit vitalant.org/antibody test. If you have recovered from COVID-19, have been at least 28 days symptom-free, and are interested in donating convalescent plasma, please visit vitalant.org/COVID-free. In order to effectively uphold social distancing standards, appointments are strongly encouraged. Face coverings are required for all donors and staff. Please come to your donation with a face covering that covers both your nose and mouth. Okay, going back to our news. Group urges restoration of North Lafayette recreation centers. 37 park staffers laid off by Megan Wyatt, staff writer. Latoya Francis doesn't know where she would be without the Dominique Recreation Center. Where she would be with the Dominique Recreation Center. Francis, 43, spends her summers attending camps there and eventually would go on to lead the camps by the time she turned 18. Now she takes her 9-year-old son, Braylon, to the Dominique Center. It's a place for baseball, volleyball, and basketball, of course, but it's also a place where math tutoring, educational presentations, and group fitness classes take place. I am a product of these rec centers, Francis said, and we need these rec centers now more than ever during the pandemic. Francis and her son were among about 50 people gathered Sunday outside the Dominique Center in an attempt to raise awareness and encourage action. This is a movement, not a moment, said Marcia Broussard, president of the Acadiana branch of the NAACP or NAACP. We plan to do whatever it takes to bring the much needed improvements to North Lafayette. Lafayette Parish Mayor President Josh Guillory and his Director of Minority Affairs, Carlos Harvin, were invited to Sunday's event. All members of the Lafayette City and Parish Councils were also invited, Broussard said. The only one in attendance was Parish Council member A.B. Rubin. Gerald Boudreau, the longtime Parks and Rec Director who retired earlier this year, was also at the event. It's important that we continue to support the system that I had the blessing and the pleasure to work in over 40 years, Boudreau said. We started seeing the numbers, the economic impact of the pandemic. We started to see that it wasn't really Chicken Little, the sky's falling, at least not in this area. Herb Pusey Green, a community activist who teaches percussion, was one of the people who addressed the group. He reminded the attendees that if the affected rec centers must be located on the north side of Lafayette, but they'll eventually affect those on the south side too. If you don't participate in the process for the good of all people, we all lose, Green said. Meeting in the park focuses on keeping the recreation centers open in North Lafayette, restoring 37 jobs that were eliminated, and motivating the community to attend Tuesday's council meetings. An event by the same name was held July 19th in Hyman Park, which is home to another recreational facility slated for closure. We just want for people to listen to what's being said, to come together, to work together, Francis said, but to work in a peaceful, calm, nonviolent, and hear ideas on how we can work together. When you work together and you work in solidarity, you can get a lot accomplished. Guillory in July announced the closing of 4 recreation centers in predominantly Black neighborhoods in North Lafayette. Bishop Larry Lloyd of Spirit of Liberty Church gives the opening prayer during the concerned residents of Lafayette and the NAACP meeting at Dominique Recreation Center on Sunday. They gathered to discuss restoring the 4 recreation centers in North Lafayette in positions that left 37 workers laid off. After public outcry and allegations that he was targeting Black people, the Mayor President has since tried to walk that back, saying the centers will remain open, but Guillory also recently accepted proposals from 3 outside entities interested in operating the centers on behalf of the city parish government. On Friday, 37 employees of the Parks and Recreation Department lost their jobs. We're demanding that 37 employees be hired, Broussard said, and our recreation centers be restored to what they were before the proposed cuts. Guillory authorized the layoffs with 11 weeks remaining in the current fiscal year, citing the need to make cuts because of the sales tax revenue lost during the coronavirus business closures, despite a projected $33 million city fund balance at the end of the fiscal year on October 31st. We know exactly what's going on, Boudreaux said, so I'm here today to support the community who supported me for over 40 years. Boudreaux said the 37 employees were offered a return to work as part-time employees without benefits, which Boudreaux said is an assault to those who have dedicated themselves to the community parks and centers. They lost health coverage for themselves and their families during the pandemic, Boudreaux said. All right, it's almost a half-hour mark in our broadcast this morning, so I'm going to turn to another public service announcement, and then we'll go to the day in history, the Zodiac or horoscope, as I like to refer to it as, and the funerals in the Acadiana area for today. Our next PSA concern is about the Festival Awards fundraiser, which is entitled this year, The Words for You Zoom Performance. In this disconnected, crazy world right now, we invite everyone to create some magic with us. Festival Awards is getting to know you. On September 10th, the Festival Awards host a presentation of new original works by 45 authors. The event is a culmination of a fundraiser in which the public commissions writers to create personalized poems, stories, and songs. We are thrilled to have a diversity of authors, from poet laureates to beginners from Lafayette to Church Point to New York City. Come listen to these one-of-a-kind premiere performances on our online cafe. Grab a drink, snacks, and sit back for an evening of fun. Some of the presenters you'll be hearing that evening will be Jack Bedell, former poet, state of Louisiana poet laureate, Darrell Bork, another former state of Louisiana poet laureate, Dominic Cross, a very well-known columnist and journalist in the area, Charles Garrett, Toby Daspit, very involved with Gear Up High School creative writing program, Cornelius Eady, Charles Claudel, the first Garrett, Valentine Price, Donnie Rose, very huge in the Baton Rouge slam poetry or deaf poetry community, Mona Lisa Staloy, Sandra Sarr, Tim Siebels, Tyler Robert Shelton, Marcus Simone, John Warner Smith, who is our current poet laureate, and many more celebrated authors. Go to the Facebook event page for Words for You. The link to the Zoom Cafe will be available the week of the event, or you can contact Martha Garner at fowmartha@gmail.com or 337-804-2482. Funds raised by Words for You contribute to the 13th Annual Festival Awards. The Festival Awards brings established authors from all over the world to Acadiana to give public readings, writing workshops in community centers and public schools during the first week of November. These funds will help to ensure the continued expansion and success of these programs. This year's festival will be virtual and will feature graphic memoirist Robin Ha, award-winning poet Erica Mittner, and Louisiana poet laureate John Warner Smith. And now still looking at entertainment public service announcements, the Acadiana Symphony Orchestra takes the virtual stage. The Acadiana Symphony Orchestra, or ASO, announces they are shifting the fall portion of the ASO 36 revival season, September to December, to a virtual live stream platform. ASO believes that this is the unquestionable solution to keeping our community safe while still providing opportunities for local musicians to share their passion. and earn income despite mandated restrictions and uncertain venue viability. Acadiana Symphony Orchestra has and will always remain committed to providing outstanding performances to Acadiana and fueling the cultural economy of our region. Symphonies, businesses, and organizations across the country are having to rethink, retool, and reinvent. We are no different. So thank you for your grace and your patience as we map out the next few months. We are working tirelessly behind the scenes to solidify plans for these virtual concerts, and it is our commitment to you that we will clearly and concisely communicate ASO 36 revival season details in the coming weeks. At a minimum, we are certain that you will receive the highest quality live streaming performance which you can enjoy from virtually anywhere. So as it is right now, the lineup includes Unite, program entitled Unite, Friday, September 11, 2020, which is a virtual performance. Triumph, Friday, October 23rd, 2020, virtual. Transform, Friday, November 13, 2020, virtual. Believe, Thursday, December 17, 2020, virtual. Adore, Friday, February 12th, also virtual 2021, but from the Acadiana Center from the Arts, or ACA. Empower, Friday, April 16, 2021, virtual from St. John's Cathedral. And Revive, Thursday, May 13, 2021, virtual from St. Mary's Church. Okay, let's get back into our news. We'll start off this break, our half-hour break in our news broadcast with the day in history. So today is Monday, August 17th, the 230th day of 2020. There are potentially 136 shopping days left in the year. Today's highlight in history: on August 17, 2017, a van plowed through pedestrians along a packed promenade in the Spanish city of Barcelona, killing 13 people and injuring 120. A 14th victim died later from injuries. Another man was stabbed to death in a carjacking that night as a van driver made his getaway, and a woman died early the next day in a vehicle and knife attack in a nearby coastal town. Six suspects in the attack were shot dead by police. 2 more died when a bomb workshop exploded. On this date in 1915, a mob in Cobb County, Georgia, lynched Jewish businessman Leo Frank, 31, whose death sentence for the murder of 13-year-old Mary Fagan had been commuted to life imprisonment. Frank, who maintained his innocence, was pardoned by the state of Georgia in 1986. In 1960, the newly renamed Beatles, formerly the Silver Beatles, began their first gig in Hamburg, West Germany, at the Indra Club. In 1964, Teamsters Union President Jimmy Hoffa was sentenced in Chicago to 5 years in federal prison for defrauding his union's pension fund. Hoffa was released in 1971 after President Richard Nixon commuted his sentence for this conviction and jury tampering. Also this date, in 1969, Hurricane Camille slammed into the Mississippi coast as a Category 5 storm that was blamed for 256 U.S. deaths, 3 in Cuba. 1998, President Bill Clinton gave grand jury testimony via closed-circuit television from the White House concerning his relationship with Monica Lewinsky. He then delivered a TV address in which he denied previously committing perjury, admitted his relationship with Lewinsky was wrong, and criticized Kenneth Starr's investigation. 10 years ago, a mistrial was declared on 23 corruption charges against ousted Illinois Governor Rod Blagojevich, who was accused of trying to sell President Barack Obama's old Senate seat. The jury convicted him on one charge, that of lying to the FBI. Blagojevich was convicted of 17 counts of corruption and a retrial and sentenced to 14 years in prison, but a federal appeals court dismissed 5 of the counts in July 2015. He was released from a federal prison in Colorado in February 2020 after his sentence was commuted by President Donald Trump. 5 years ago, a bomb exploded within a central Bangkok shrine that was among the city's most popular tourist spots, killing at least 20 people and injuring more than 100. 1 year ago, a suicide bomber struck a wedding party in the Afghan capital, killing more than 80 people and wounding more than 180 others. Today's birthdays: former Major League Baseball All-Star Boog Powell is 79. Actor Robert De Niro is 77. Movie director Martha Coolidge is 74. Actor, screenwriter, producer Julian Fellows is 71. International Tennis Hall of Famer Guillermo Villa is 68. Country singer-songwriter Kevin Welch is 65. Singer Belinda Carlisle, remember her from the Go-Go's, 62. Actor Sean Penn is 60 years old today. Singer Maria McKee is 56. Rock musician Steve Gorman from the Black Crowes is 55. Actor Helen McCory is 52. And singer Donnie Wahlberg from the New Editions fame and his solo acting career is 51. Looking at the zodiac for today, if you're a Leo, you can gather valuable information to help you in your pursuits. Leave nothing to chance, update documents before they lapse, and make decisions that will ease stress. Keep life simple and projects doable. Virgo's my birthday sign. Set the standard, do things your way, and aim to reach your goal. Stand by your word and compromise when necessary. You will gain respect. Libra, an upbeat approach will deter disgruntled and demanding people. Offer positive alternatives will encourage others to pick up the pace and help. A partnership with someone who shares your enthusiasm looks promising. Scorpio, be reasonable and you'll get your way. Changes in order. Assess your life, attitude, appearance, and the changes you want to make. Make personal growth a priority. Sagittarius, you are gaining leverage, so don't stop pushing for what you want. Don't let the past help you back. Discarding what no longer works for you is encouraged. Capricorn, don't start something you can't finish. An argument with a friend or relative will cause emotional turmoil. Focus on what you can do to keep the peace. Be open to love and romance. Aquarius, strike up a conversation to help you resolve a sensitive issue. Offer suggestions and compromise to keep your plans moving forward and to avoid emotional scene. Get back to basics. Pisces, personal change will make you feel good. Don't let an outsider take advantage of your time to talk you into spending money. Make plans with a special someone. Aries, put pent-up energy to good use. You can take action and get things done, or you can stew over what everyone else is doing and achieve little. Be a leader. Taurus, choose what feels right. Refuse to let your emotions take charge or get in the way. Be prepared to take advantage of an opportunity that's on your doorstep. Gemini, consider what's important to you and focus your energy and time on projects that will bring about change, home improvement. Honesty and rationality are favored. And finally, Cancer. Look at your budget before you commit to a project or make a donation. Take care of the needs before you extend a helping hand to others. You can be both generous and responsible. And as always, a horoscope is not based on scientific fact, but is an entertainment feature. Deaths and the funerals today in the Kitiana area. Betty Bush at St. Joseph Catholic Church in Rain at 1:30 p.m. Rex Collins, Fountain Memorial Funeral Home at 1010 Pandora Street in Lafayette, or 1010 Pandora Street in Lafayette at 11 a.m. And Guy East, David Funeral Home of Lafayette at 2 p.m. Okay, let's get into another PSA or a couple more PSAs before we return to the news. AOC teams up with the United Way of Acadiana for Learn United. United Way of Acadiana has teamed up with AOC and other local educational groups for Learn United, bridging the digital gap to provide educational resources for households that don't have internet but do have a television. The Learn United program airs weekdays from 8 to 2 on AOC2, Cox 16, and LUS 4, and streaming at aocinc.org/watch. For the daily schedule and to submit content for the program, visit the United Way of Acadiana's website, unitedwayofacadiana.org/learn-united. And back getting into the news. Open Book, Beausoleil Books, The Whisper Room to open in downtown Lafayette by Megan Wyatt. This is a story that I was making reference to in the beginning of the broadcast. This is really interesting. We don't have a bookstore downtown, and now it looks like we're going to. The story is by Megan Wyatt, staff writer. Soon after moving to Lafayette for a job at a law firm, Brian Dupree came across a group of French tourists downtown. Dupree, who speaks French fluently, answered a few questions for the tourists, but couldn't help them find a place to purchase a postcard. That's the sort of light bulb went off, Dupree thought, and I thought, well, we'll create a place where you can buy a postcard. The concept has expanded considerably since that November day last year. Now it's blossomed into Beausoleil Books in the Whisper Room, a bookstore and speakeasy-style bar to open in October at 302A Jefferson Street. The 3,000 square foot storefront most recently housed Clo's Indian Cafe. Dupree is opening the business with 3 friends he met during law school at LSU. We want it to be a very welcoming place where anyone can come and be welcome, Dupree said. We intend to have classic books and national bestsellers, but we also intend to feature local and diverse authors. It's all just part of our mission to be inclusive and welcoming to everyone. There will also be a children's section, and story time will be offered eventually when it's safe to do so. The space will include comfy armchairs for diving into books instead of purchasing, along with bar seating that looks out into Jefferson Street. Beausoleil Books is named for Joseph Beausoleil Broussard, the Cajun folk hero who led one of the earliest groups of Acadians to South Louisiana. It also translates to beautiful sun. Dupree is the 7th generation Louisianian and direct descendant of Beausoleil Broussard. Although Dupree didn't grow up speaking French at home, he studied it in school from a young age. One of his French teachers asked Dupree if he knew of his family's history, which sparked Dupree's curiosity. He would eventually earn advanced degrees in French and work as a French tour guide. Dupree is partnering with the cultural services of the French Embassy to promote French literature in Lafayette through the bookstore. We will be their only Louisiana partnership, Dupree said. This has been the most exciting part for me, promoting French literacy in Louisiana, especially with all of the children's books we're going to have. Reading in French at a young age is a wonderful thing. The Whisper Room name is twofold as well as primarily a nod to the Prohibition era speakeasies, but it also invokes a library vibe that's fitting for a bookstore bar. It's a place you can just walk in casually, Dupree said. There might be a wait for the restaurant downtown and you want a glass of wine, or you're going to hear some live music and you just need a place to gather before. Additionally, we're hoping there will be a place where book clubs might want to meet. The Whisper Room will be in a separate room in the same retail space, accessible through the bookstore directly from the street. The bar will offer craft cocktails, especially wines and local brews, with ample seating. There will also be special candles and cocktails on rotation that are designed to pair with the featured book of the month. Beausoleil Books will be open from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Tuesday through Sunday initially. Once COVID-19 restrictions ease, the Whisper Room will be open later hours. And I believe the timeline for opening is October of this year. SLCC ready to launch semester, aggressive COVID-19 safety plan in place. South Louisiana Community College will open classes Monday, with enrollment pushing last year's total of around 10,000, Interim Chancellor Vincent June said. He said SLCC students, faculty, and staff have worked on a reopening plan that will maximize study options for students on the college's 9 campuses in 8 parishes while keeping them safe. We have multiple class offerings and types of classes with retrofitted classrooms for those who will be on campus, he said. We have markings on floors, windows, and seatings. There is signage on the parking lots. In short, he said, SLCC is ready. June said SLCC is using the Louisiana Community and Technical College System guidelines as a basis for its own safety plan and will mandate the use of masks and social distancing. Students who come to campus will be encouraged to use their own snacks and water, and only students will be allowed on campus. There will be limited seating in the common areas, and vending machines will not operate. All of those steps are expected to keep students safer from the spread of the coronavirus. June said that by midweek, enrollment had cleared 90% of last year's numbers, with additional numbers expected by week's end. He said more enrollment is expected as high school students sign up for dual enrollment of classes that will satisfy high school and college requirements. Classes are shorter duration and will start later this semester will add to enrollment. He said library services will be available, although most of the library materials will be accessible online. Computer labs will be open, but seating will be restricted. General offices will be open, but access will be restricted. Here's how SLCC is offering classes. Some classes will be available in class only, and plans call for students to rotate in small groups in those class settings. That includes labs and hands-on instructions. More classes will be available in hybrid format, with some in class and some WebEx instruction at set times and days. High-sync, hybrid, and synchronous classes will meet the first day in class, then transform to WebEx instruction at set times and days. Online classes will set due dates, but with no set class interactions. June said Friday that faculty and students seem excited about launching this unusual semester. A faculty town hall meeting was held midweek, and a virtual kickoff and plan of convocation was scheduled Friday afternoon. Everybody's on board, he said. We are still serving students in the community. We're not altering that. June was named interim chancellor in May, replacing Natalie Harday. Scott Development to feature more than 100 homes by Adam Daigle, Acadiana business editor. A housing development planned for the south side of Scott will have more than 100 single-family lots along with some commercial lots. Cottage Developers, with its partners Jordan Daigle and his father, Southern Lifestyle Development co-founder Robert Daigle, broke ground last week on the project to be called Birchman Oaks at the corner of the Jacques Road and Westgate Road. It will feature 118 single-family residential lots and 2 commercial lots. The company bought a 22-acre lot along the Jacques Road, along with a 2-acre lot at the corner of the 2 streets earlier this month for $800,000, according to real estate transactions compiled by Scout Real Estate. The project will be just east of the 78-acre West Village project, also a Cottage Developers project. It will feature a mix of differing homes and apartments, along with commercial and office space around a central town square. West Village will be a traditional neighborhood development, but Birchman Oaks will be a mixed-use community with homes ranging from 170,000 to 215,000, with homes ranging from 1,200 to 1,600 square feet, Jordan Daigle said. We're doing the big T&D development down the road, and not everyone can afford that. He said, you're kind of excluding a certain part of the market. We felt like there was a demand for entry-level property in Scott. The construction will be similar to the Landon Cove development on Barrow School Road in South Lafayette, with similar lot sizes, Daigle said. Shivers Home Builders will handle construction. Commercial lots will be at the development's main entrance near the corner of Westgate Road and could house an office, a coffee shop, or a medical office, he said. Work will continue through the fall and winter with home construction possibly beginning in February. The development is going into an area that has some residential around it, but the price point is affordable, and it's another option outside of what we're going to have in West Village. Scott Mayor Jan Scott Richard said, we need to have affordable housing in all of our communities. This is going to be a great starter home community for young couples. We're looking forward to the added growth here. The development also capitalizes on a strong real estate market in Lafayette and many other markets throughout the country, thanks to incredibly low interest rates that have dipped below 3%. Home construction was down a bit last year, but so far in 2020, sales in Lafayette Parish are up 16.5%. In July, 100 new construction homes were sold, more than doubling the 48 sold in July 2019. The market is unbelievably hot right now, Daigle said. It's cyclical. Right now, we have builders from every price point, whether it be $1 million on down to what we're building in Birchman Oaks. Every builder has come to us saying, give us as many lots as you can. The project will further develop the south side of the city and is the first big housing development since the nearby Emerald Lake development, which was recently issued 19 building permits for phase 2. City is expanding sewer infrastructure to the area for the Richmond Oaks development, Richard said, which will allow two services to also go along Westgate Road and ERAT's Landry Road. Construction is also set to begin in October on reconstruction of Westgate Road, Richard said. The city entered into an agreement with the Department of Transportation and Development to take over the road between Cameron Street and Dulles Drive once construction is complete next spring. Westgate Road, if you've ever traveled on it, has some major issues, Richard said. It's long overdue. Prescription delivery plan pairs LCH Hamper service by Adam Dingle, getting out of business. Hamper, the app-based laundry service started by Lafayette business owner Laurel Hess, has secured a significant investment from the Local Health Innovation Fund as it looks to expand in prescription delivery. The fund, supported by Lafayette General Health, Ochsner Health, Acadian Ambulance, the William C. Schumacher Foundation, and LHC Corp or Group, committed an undisclosed amount to Hamper and its healthcare delivery service, Presto Health. Under Presto Health, Lafayette General patients in the service area can have their medications delivered the same day after being released from the hospital or after a telemedicine, primary care, urgent care, or ER clinic visit. They're just really, really innovative with the way they think about patient care, Hess said. It's something they saw a need for. At Hamper, we set it up to have other cases besides laundry. Anything we can do to make your life a little bit easier, that's what we're all about. It falls within our mission to lessen the load against the board. Hamper and Lafayette General will build out the pilot program to launch first in Lafayette and later in the New Orleans market by 2021. Hamper is in the middle of a fundraising round that's open for visitors. The service will employ drivers and not use independent contractors, Hess said. Whenever we have the opportunity to support and springboard a local startup, it's a win-win all around, said Sienna Robinson, Executive Director of Innovation, Research, and Real Estate Investments for Lafayette General. We get to help shape and direct our delivery partner, improve the local economy with job creation, and help Lafayette diversify further into the healthcare and technology industries. And finally, sports. As I always close off, if I have a sports story to read you, Cajun senior Marks determined to end career on his terms by Kevin Foote, sports and staff writer for the Acadiana Advocate. He was coming off an injury-plagued season after suffering a knee injury in the season opener against Mississippi State in the Mercedes-Benz Superdome. Then 3 practices into the spring season, the coronavirus quickly put a halt on college athletics all over the country. Now less than a month from the scheduled start of his redshirt season, senior season, is all of this trouble and these frustrating obstacles really worth it to UL offensive lineman Ken Marks? You bet it is. Now, I never thought that I would call it a career, Marks said. For the Beaumont, Texas native, all the reasons his personal health in a worldwide pandemic gave him just to move on with his life simply paled in comparison to his internal motivation. I always had a thing that I wanted to finish things on my terms. So being it was an injury that I couldn't do anything about, I wanted to work back and get myself in position to play again this upcoming season, Marks explained. After spurring Marks, play to the echo of his career was how well the Cajuns performed last season with an historic 11-3 campaign. When I saw this team do good things and have a season like that, it made me want to come back even more, Marks said. I was ready to go into spring, and now that we're in fall camp, I'm 100% now. It just so happened that the 6'4", 308-pounder, chasing that dream of going out of his turns required dealing with all the waiting and uncomfortable coronavirus protocols. When you come up here, you know that you're getting yourself into, Mark said. Our trainers and our staff all set up a plan where we have to wear our masks everywhere, and in practice, we have shield guards and face masks to try to limit any spread of anything. I don't think we've had any positive COVID tests. A respected member of the team, Marks is on the team's leadership group and echoes the team's intense desire to play. The guys on it, we have a couple of 6-year guys, so we've always worked to get back to this point. So we all have a mindset as we speak for them that we do want to play no matter what is going on, Mark said. But if the NCAA sees fit to it, then we have to abide by that. UL coach Billy Napier is certainly glad Marks didn't choose to hang it up. First of all, Ken is a great human being. Napier said he's very intelligent, very mature, and a guy who has played a ton of snaps for us. It was unfortunate that he got hurt last year. We're excited about having Ken back. Assuming the Cajuns get to play this fall with so many uncertainties, the next question is exactly how Marks will fit into a deep offensive line. While Marks' versatility will help, the former Belmont Central standout fully realizes we've got about 10 or 11 guys that could go in and start if we were playing today. As a junior, he started 14 games at left guard and returned in the same spot last season before going down in the season opener. He's a very versatile player who can play guard, can play tackle, and also can be an emergency center, Napier said. So Ken brings a certain amount of leadership and maturity to the room that I think is going to be needed. Once training camp arrived, Mark's initial chore is to get back into shape after such an unusual off season. I actually need to lose a couple pounds, he laughed. Quarantine kind of did me bad. Other than that, just rehabbing my knee. Now I'm here, ready to go, Marks. Knows it's no guarantee that he'll get his starting job back. His replacement, Osiris Torrance, quickly transformed himself in a freshman All-American last season, and center Cole Prudhomme is back hungry for playing time, battling with Shane Vallant at center or potentially with Marks at guard. Offensive coordinator Coach Rob Sale had a good plan, Mark said. You always have to elevate your game to match what somebody else is doing. You set a standard and you don't want to even play before anything. You want to keep playing to that standard so far. So for me to say I want to de-escalate my play would not be smart. And that about covers the news on sports and everything that fits into the hour that I'm given to read. And the hour that we have every Monday through Friday. We're a little bit past our television audio portion of the show, but we're still being heard on AOC Community Media at YouTube or our Cypress Street radio station streaming online at Cypress Street Radio, that's CYPRESS Radio online. So I'm going to wrap it up. I thank you for tuning in this morning. We appreciate all the listeners out there who do tune in every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 10 a.m. where we give you all the local news and state news and sports and the horoscope and all of that. And we appreciate you, as always, tuning in. This has been Bruce Cohen. Will always be Bruce Cohen. And I want you to stay safe, healthy, and smart. Please be smart when you go outside into the public. Wear your mask. It's not a big deal, folks. Just put on your mask or your face guard. Keep your distance from people who you haven't had contact with, because you never know. Asymptomatic is the rule of the day. People may not know that they have the virus. So please keep your distance from people that you have not been quarantined with or know that have tested negative for COVID. Wear your mask, wash your hands, sanitize, do everything that you need to do to stay healthy, stay safe, and keep others healthy and safe. And we will get through this together. And as always, be kind to each other and have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow morning. I believe I'm doing a co-broadcast with Alicia Seal. So hopefully you will hear my voice again tomorrow morning. And be kind to each other and have a great day.